Hey everyone, it's Will, Gamer Dad, with another video for you. So first off, I'd like to give a shout out to one of my Patreon supporters, Al Heyman. Thanks for your support. Now in tonight's episode of Should You Summon, we'll discuss the two banners that were a surprise drop that was announced last night in the notices. Now if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. I also do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. So just in case you missed yesterday's notice, there are two banners featured. Each of them can only be pulled once. And so we'll go right into it here. The first one is called the Twin Destinies Encounter Valentine's Day 2023 series. This one unfortunately does require paid stones or your Heavens subscription ticket. So you can clearly see from the description, it guarantees you 2 5 stars. And that means on pull number 9 and pull number 10 of the 10 pull, you'll get one normal style or another style, aka AS 5-star units. So just to reiterate, no ES or extra style, no altar units are included in this pull. Now you can argue that that's a bad thing. However, depending on your goals in pulling for this banner, you'll actually find that very, very valuable. And what I mean by that is when there's less units being featured, you'll have more chances of hitting the one you want. And remember that you do get 2 of them. So let's go right into it. So you can see that on the 9th and 10th pull, each one will have 0.82% chance roughly to get the 5-star unit that you get. If you're wondering about odds wise, that's approximately 1 in 122. So you got 2 rolls of 1 in 122 in order to get any 2 of these 5-star units featured in this banner. So again, being that this is a paid banner, all units are featured here, including our newest broken unit, Efi. I believe AS Flamelopus is always still here. Let me just double check that. Yep, and she's right there featured in front. So the only question remains, should you summon? Well, for those who are newer to the game, these kind of specialized banners only come out 3 or 4 times a year, sometimes a little bit more often than that, but generally infrequent at best. And there's a reason why they restrict it to 1 time only. Normally, again, with 1,000 paid stones or a subscription ticket, your Faithful tends to only have a guarantee of 1 5-star. You're getting 2 for 1. I mean, 2 for 1 or better is always an amazing deal in my eyes. Now, I can argue that, of course, you can't get all the altars and you can't get some of the extra style units. And of those, we can name, obviously, things like Altar Hismina, Altar Sukiya, aka Noble Blossom, ES Claude, for example, some of those more sought after units. However, you can still hit their normal styles and or their AS. And if you do that, you're able to still side grade those later on as you gather the materials. And for those who don't know, it takes anywhere from, on average, 3 to 6 months, sometimes a little bit shorter than that, in order to gather 5 chants, the appropriate number of treatises, and sometimes opuses. Of course, that does depend on RNG, but if you even get 1 Phantom Crystal Dimension or White Gate Key clear, that will put you well on your path to getting those units. So the only thing that I would say that it would be holding you off from pulling on this banner is that you have a near complete or a complete roster, in which case you're not adding anything of note to your team. However, for those who are at that point and have spent a considerable amount of money on the game, pulling on this banner and getting 2 extra 5-stars to add light or shadow to your team might be worthwhile for you because you're trying to hit those really high light and shadow break points, either 120 for example, or 200, or even the maxed 255, such that you're going to get all those extra benefits, extra damage and extra stats and so on and so forth. But for the majority of light spenders, if your roster is not nearly complete, or if you're newer to the game, this is a great way to spend on it. Now, in comparison to something like a Star Dream that just expired a little while ago, this is not a guaranteed selector. You cannot pick the units you want, so you do rely on RNG as that point. But again, 2 units both 5 stars, 1 in 122 divided by 2, so approximately maybe 1 in 60 to get a unit that you want, and if you're lucky and you get 2 units you want, even better. So value is definitely there. RNG comes into play greatly, and so, it really depends on how you're feeling about that banner. But just to summarize, the banner is worth it. If you have a newer roster and you're missing a lot of units, definitely 10 out of 10 banner. Go for it. If you're a more mature roster, then the benefits really depend on how much you value extra light or shadow, or the off chance that you get one of the 2 or 3 units that you might be missing at this point, right? Okay, so that's only for the paid players, right? Now what about us free-to-play players? We have something called a Brilliant Encounter Valentine's Day 2023 series. And this one, although not as fruitful or as beneficial as the paid one, we can understand that. We're free-to-play, so we get less items because, let's be honest, they want you to spend money on the game. You still get a benefit from this one. Now, note that on the 10th encounter, that means on pull number 10, instead of only guaranteeing a 4-star, by which they can be non-upgradable, like the standard 4-star units that do not have a 5th star next to them, they are capped out at level 60, and at this point, most of them are unusable in the game once you're past, early parts of the main story. However, this banner, instead of guaranteeing only a normal 4-star, guarantees a 4.5 star, which can be upgraded into a 5-star unit. So if you're a veteran of the game, you'll know what I mean. If you're new to the game, what that means is no matter if you pull something out of this banner now, you'll get a 4.5, which still might be only a 4-star up to level 60 at some point. But if you continue playing the game, you'll be bound to get the materials that you need in order to side grade or upgrade them to the 5-star. And this game is very unique gacha-wise, where you do not have to pull dupes. You only need 1 copy, and you can use free materials to grind it up to a 5-star, which will have all the abilities and capabilities of pulling a 5-star. The stats might be slightly lower, but all the moves and movesets are there. So essentially, you can still do most of the end game strats that are necessary, for those units. And so, note that the odds on the 10th pull is significantly higher than those on the Twin Destinies. And the reason for that is because a lot of 4.5s can be side graded into 2 or 3 different versions. For example, my waifu Suzette has both a normal style, an AS, and an ES. That's 3 versions for 1 unit, and an altar as well. And so if you don't count those because you're not being upgraded on those units, you are getting much enhanced odds on a 4.5 that can be upgraded to a 5-star. And so if you want the odds based on 1.47% here, you're talking about 1 in 68 or so to get any 1 unit. And so my advice to you is count the units that you are missing. Of those, calculate the ones you really, really want or don't mind getting. Add up all of those odds together again, and see how much the percentage breaks down to whether or not you want it or not. So just so you know, all the units are also in this banner. So Ify, being the newest one, is here. You can also get Alma or Leia Flamelpis, Nakoko, including her AS, and so on and so forth. Now, the brackets on the 5-star is because the 10th pull does have a chance of getting a 5-star instead of 4.5. So remember that this banner guarantees a 4.5 or better. Okay? And we'll just scroll all the way down here. Of course, bots, Rainbow Sisters, and Knights. So of course, the more important question is, as a free player, should you summon on this? And we also take into account what banners are available either now or into the near future, being that this banner is only here for 7 days, everyone. So if you want to do it, you only have a week to do it. If you want to pass and save for future banners or pull on existing banners that you want instead of this unit, instead of this Brilliant, then you can do so. My views on the Brilliant encounter are as such. If you're new to the game and missing a ton of units, and usually those are players who have played less than a year and are either light or not in spenders at all, this is a 10 out of 10 banner. Even if you risk the chance of a dupe, the fact that they guarantee a 4.5 upgradable unit on your 10th pull is very worthwhile. If you think about it, a paid 10 pull guarantees a 5-star, although it can be random. This one guarantees a 4.5, which can be upgraded to 5-star, although it can be random. You see where I'm going here, right? The fact that there's a definite value in that this 10th unit is a guaranteed upgradable unit has a lot of value, especially if you're missing tons and tons of units. Now, how about as a mature player? Now, this is where the question becomes a lot more difficult, because we know that a lot of stones are being pulled towards AS Flamelpis, or Efi, or Eva, or possibly either AS Nokoko, or, there's other banners here as well, Ultra Sahia, and even Moonlight Flower, Hismina, Ultra Hismina is still here. Some of you may want one of those units instead. And just to put it into perspective, if you're talking about a pure banner such as AS Flamelpis, where you have both the normal style AS as well as the 4.5 being upgraded, a single pull that is one pull, not a 10 pull, is at about 2%. And the odds of getting any Flamelpis in this banner on one 10 pull is about 19% or so. Contrasted that to Efi, where it's a split banner. Efi's 4.5 and 5-star are upgraded, and she's shared with another banner unit that you don't want. If you're talking about 0.4 and 0.8, over a 110 pull, you're talking about 12% or so. And so really, it comes down to opportunity cost. Do you want to just spend your 1,000 free stones on a banner where it does give you a 1 in 68 chance or so of getting any 4.5, some of which you really want, some of which will be dupes, and some of which you just don't want? Or do you want to put that 1,000 stones towards a 19% AS Flam, where you can get any form of Flam, or a 12% any form of Efi? And so the answer depends on, again, adding up all those 1.47s or 1.5% of the 4.5 units you are missing, calculating which ones you really, really want or don't mind having, and see which one percentage-wise works out better for you. One last thing to mention is that, remember, this is a time-limited banner, and so AS Flam and AS and Efi will still be here for at least a month and a half or so. There are still other opportunities to earn and collect stones as your logins, but of course, hey, let's be honest, Efi and AS Flam are definitely among, AS Nokoko and other units here, are very, very tempting. And for those who don't know, there is a main story character part 3 that will be releasing in probably 2 weeks from now, which a lot of people are also saving up for. So again, in summary, as a new player, if you've been here for 3 to 6 months or less, and I've seen a lot of you interacting with me on the subreddit as well as on this channel, this is a must pull for you. There should be no reason to pass on it. Only those relatively mature accounts where you're missing only a handful of units or hardly any units would be even considered a pass, in my opinion. Again, let me know in the comments below what you think about these banners. Are you planning to pull? If you've pulled, what have you gotten? Now for me, even though I am only missing one unit, it is a 1 in 68 chance of getting Primaya. I'm going to take a chance and pull on that, being that I cannot get away from the temptation of going for a guaranteed 4.5. It's still good value, and unfortunately, of course, the vast majority of units won't be very useful, but I'll take the 4 light or shadow if it's of a useful unit. So of course, I'll take it on, Eva, Flam, Alma, or Leia, or Efi right here, or even my waifu Suzette, among others. So if you are pulling, I wish you good luck. If you're still pulling on the other banners and you've been missing your Vampire Girl or, your Neptune Lady, good luck on those as well. We all know the pain of the gacha despair, and I hope that whichever husbandos or waifus you are seeking comes home for you as quickly as possible. Anyways, for those who are already on February 14th, happy Valentine's Day. For those in North America, our Valentine's Day will be tomorrow, but I may not put out a video tomorrow. So again, happy Valentine's Day. Make sure you treat your loved one or your significant other very well. Right now, I'm ignoring Gamer Mom, but of course, we are going to spend some time together, tomorrow when it's actually Valentine's Day. Anyways, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.